come to our attention there's a issue with this tester when it comes to testing our products. There's a lot of people out there that they test a 10th ounce gold coin and it doesn't come out very well. Now, interestingly enough, yeah, if you go to most of our coins, they might do this, or they might do that, or it shows an arrow. Now, interestingly enough, that is worrisome because people say, oh my god, it's fake. Well, okay, obviously it's not fake. So we refine precious metals, and we also manufacture precious metals out of other companies' fine gold. And we check it, and normally we use what's called an X-ray spectrometer. It is a $40,000 machine. It uses radioactive material in order to scan what is in there, and it is absolutely infallible. They do not function unless they are calibrated every day off stainless steel. If it doesn't pass the calibration test, it does not function, bottom line. You have to be licensed to have them, and they are an expensive tool. And most of your serious dealers out there, if they move a lot of volume, they will have one because they are proven for homogeneous alloys. You can see through a lot of plate with it. You can tell what is a good and good or bad alloy. This machine's a few $100s, and it has a laundry list of disclaimers. When you go to the first disclaimer, it says that it makes no claim or guarantee or promise that the measurements made by the precious metal verifier indicate any sample is or is not the selected metal or alloy, whether the reading is within or is not within the bounds consistent with the selected metal or alloy. Read the instructions and special conditions which can alter the reading from the outside to within the expected bounds, from within to the outside, or to the expected bounds. The readings given by the precious metal verifier are information only, and any judgment about or action taken on any sample is entirely the responsibility of the user. So that's a word salad of saying this thing, it might be telling you the truth, or it could be lying, but it doesn't tell you definitively anything. It just says that it's giving you an indication of what it thinks it is. But there's all these special conditions and instructions to look at. So let's take a look at some of those special conditions and instructions. And one of the first ones they have in here I have a whole page that says conditions that affect the readings and accuracy. Thin coins. Thin coins may give inaccurate readings. To check this, if this is the case, use the main sensor and place the sample in the sensor and place a calibration disc on top of the sample. And if the reading changes, then the first reading is most likely incorrect, and the second reading is more dependable. But it doesn't say it's accurate, it just says more dependable. And retest using a wand. Using the wand, place the wand against the sample and hold the calibration disc behind your sample. High relief coins, which is what we make. High relief coins can have unusual readings. Interesting. Especially with the wands, most stamped coins have no problem with relief, but molded samples can have a much higher relief, and here are some suggestions. Try moving the sensor to a flatter area, turn the sensor over and measure it in another area, move the coin around giving various readings, but the most leftmost value will be the most accurate reading. Small coins, it's important to use the appropriate sensors for small coins. Please see the section selecting appropriate sensor for your sample. Bars, some contaminated areas can read out of the brackets. Bubbles, cracks, and deep stampings can affect the reading. Avoid these areas. Well, if there's bubbles inside it, you're never going to know it, so that can affect it too. Plating. Plating is generally less effect on the readings, typically only one box to the right or less. Unexpected readings. Check both sides of the place of the sample. Run the calibration button, blah, blah, blah. So it has all these special conditions. It talks about a calibration disc and size of samples. Now, what's really interesting under the size of samples, and I believe that was on the first page here, it says right here, the main sensor reads samples of pure gold and silver alloys which are at least 1.1 millimeters thick. Other precious metals such as gold alloys, platinum, and palladium should be at least 2.4 millimeters thick. Thinner samples can be read using the calibration disc, see page 7. The main sensor reads samples with a diameter greater than 24 millimeters as long as they are not in a case. Large wand, small wand. No, small wand. The small wand is used for samples down to 0.8 millimeters thick, so a third of a millimeter less than what's being talked about up here. 0.8 millimeters thickness or greater, down to 0.4 millimeters using the calibration disc. See calibration disc instructions. So here's the first thing we got to know about this. Ironically enough, to strike a 10th ounce gold coin, you have to have a metal that is, well, look at that, 0.8 millimeters. So this is just on the cusp of what is supposed to be ideal for the wand. And what happens when we put that on there on the wand? Well, let's just switch hands here. We know that's 0.8 millimeters. We put that on there. It says it's pure gold. Obviously, we use our regular machine. It says pure gold. I'm not going to bore you with a 30-second test on that. So we know that is pure gold. Now, interestingly enough, shape can affect this. If we go to other areas on here, whoa, look at that. Arrow to the right, says it's plate, it's fake. So, wow, that's really interesting from a piece that's brand new. We go here, not good, not good. As soon as you put it in the center there, oh, now it actually shows as gold, and you get it square on the flat area, like it's supposed to, right? But that's 0.8 millimeters thick, so that's right on the cusp of what they're supposed to say it is. Now, the pieces that are cut out of these, obviously, we will hit those, and sure enough, they show that they are pure gold. So this is the sort of reading we would expect, for something of that size. The bigger bars, the same deal. When we have clean, good metal that we refine, sure enough, it shows as better than 3/9 fine, which is exactly what we make. Now, here's where things get a little bit weird. If you strike it, and we change the dimensions of the coin, this coin's a perfect example of one of our older strikes, you can have minor variations in the thickness. See that? It's a little thicker on that side. As we roll it, it's thinner on that side. And for collectors and whatnot, most people generally don't care. It's pure gold, etc. However, when the shape of this is wrong, because this is just a radio signal going through, you put it on there. Oh, I gotta push the run sample. When you put it on there, oh, it's coming just outside the bracket. And if we rotate or don't hit the right spot on it, or too far away because of the high relief, especially on the edge, it goes all the way to the right and says it's bad, it's fake, oh my God. Now, you hit one of the ones where, that we have done a newer stamping on. We recalibrated some of our tools, and we got a better, thinner, more accurate rim going around. We wanted to see if this would actually make a difference or not on the testing. So I retooled everything the other day. Sure enough, oops, that's the one that's weird. They come out just fine with the new stamping, just like the blanks. But the old stamping, it has a little trouble. So that's all it is. If there's a difference in the size of the rim as you go around the coin, that's probably your culprit. The coin is still pure, no matter what this machine says, because remember all the disclaimers and the word salad over here. And obviously any of the bullion we make comes out absolutely pure, as it should. And that's even using this inexpensive machine to prove it. Now, what's really interesting, they talk about high relief. So I got a bar that's made by somebody else. It's I don't even know where that's from. I think it's from Singapore. But, Jakarta, so Indonesia. So it's kind of a cool bar. It's bar number 007. When you hit it on the high relief, probably help if I actually showed the sensor here. Obviously, it's pure gold. It's certified by a government. This is a government mint. And if we hit it anywhere on here because of that high relief, it's showing that it's bad. Well, obviously that's not the case because it sure shows up as 4/9 pure when you x-ray it. But if you turn it to the other side, where it's more flat, see what happens. Just barely on the inside there. Now, believe it or not, this can actually be done with the Swiss bars also. So you hit these things in some areas. Oops, I hit the wrong calibration there. You hit these things in some areas, and it'll show, okay, yeah, it's gold. But here's what's funny about this. You change the angle a little bit, and now all of a sudden, you're not showing it's good anymore. So you can run this thing all over the place and get different readings of pure or not. So if you hit the one wrong area, it's going to show as bad. And, this is something to be concerned of, because if somebody's going to commit an act of fraud against you and you're new to buying and selling gold and bullion, you could easily walk into some shop and someone could say, oh, well, let me go ahead and check this with my calibration. They pull this out, and people that don't understand, they're like, oh, wow, that's a fancy machine. What's that do? I'm going to change it from the sensor to the main calibration piece here. And, let's say, somebody inherited a nice, 10-ounce PAMP Swiss bar. And, you come in and you place it down. Oh, gotta push the start. And you put it down there. And if you put it down just right, it'll show pure gold. Cool, okay. But if you move this thing around a bit, you can actually get it to go outside, and someone might say, oh, look, right there, that proves it's fake, it's bad. And they might say, oh, well, I'm going to be a nice guy, and I'm only going to give you 20% of the value, because maybe it's only 20% fake. And you're like, oh, okay, whatever. And people can get screwed by this, So you have to be educated about how these things work. You put it on, most of the places it shows it's good. But, you put it off just a little bit, like if you angle it just a hair, just like that, we're at the right. And according to the book, it says at that point it's fake, or it's not the selected alloy. So these are a lot of the flaws that are inherent in this unit, which are truly unfortunate, because there are people out there who can use this information, especially if they know, a small coin put on there is not going to work, but if you use the wand, it will work. They can take advantage of that. Or they can use it to spread misinformation and, say something isn't what it is. And this, unfortunately, happens fairly frequently, mainly due to user error, because they're not trained on how to use this machine correctly. Or, maybe their literacy rate isn't high enough and they don't know how to read. That's a very high possibility with some of the people and some of the haters that we see out there that are talking poorly about us, or, in a more nefarious situation is maybe somebody did read through this and they said, thin coins, these specs, and then they end up coming across one of these and they see some of the complaints online from people that are like, oh, I can't get this thing to work with it. And they decide, hey, maybe I can get some YouTube clicks and make some money off this by creating some controversy. Well, there is no controversy here. We use the same method that has been used for thousands of years to purify gold, and we have some better technology than we did back in the day. We have some machines that are only a few years old out there that are dubious as to their accuracy. They're great for testing some things they are not. You can put all kinds of things on here, and sometimes they will work, sometimes they will not. And it all is based on the shape of the bar, or the size of it, or the how it's manufactured. So obviously the way we manufacture our coins, with the intent to have a beautiful deep strike, something that collectors love, to make something beautiful that's inexpensive, made in America, and supporting small business as opposed to faceless corporations and horrible governments that do terrible things to people to control and subvert them. We made something very fun, and something that people love, and it's a symbol of standing up against a lot of the garbage that's out there. And right now, as we're in a pandemic, there are a lot of people who are looking to turn their wealth into gold in order to save themselves from the nasty inflation that can happen. And believe it or not, there's people out there trying to discourage people from getting a fair price on gold that can be purchased and used and loved and taken and put away. It's pretty sad. But I've been doing this for over 20 years. And I will continue to do this. I will continue to give people fair rates. I will continue to give fair prices. And again, everything that I have manufactured ever is guaranteed. And if it is ever problematic, and if you have one of these coins, even if it's one of the older ones, and it's got that little bit of a change on it, send it back to us. You know, if it is truly going to the right all the way on one of these machines, send it back to us, and we will make sure that you get a coin that actually tests on this. If that's an insecurity you have, even though these things, based on their own language, are total crap, because it even says that the temperature can affect these things and the readings, which is quite fascinating. So you've got things, you know, if it's very cold, too small, away from the sensor, etc. All of these things can cause a problem with it. So if it's too hot, if it's too cold, if the shape isn't right, you know, it's a laundry list of problems that can be had from one of these machines. One of the other nice things that people should know about our products is we always make everything a little bit heavy. Make sure we're tailored here. Every one of our coins is going to be a little bit heavy, anywhere from 0.5% to 1%, sometimes 0.25%. Sometimes they're directly direct on. That one's almost 1% over. Almost 1% over. 1.1% over. Maybe I should keep that one. But the beauty of these is they are always going to be a little heavy, you know, which is pretty cool. Actually, I'm not going to use that one because it is too heavy. But, you know, these things are always going to come out into spec, and that helps people to know that what they're going to get is absolutely real and accurate. And even if some of these people that are claiming that their coins are not pure by whatever percentage, well, you still have 1/10 of an ounce of gold, because even if it's 1% off, which it's not, as we have proven here today, you're still getting more than you're paying for. So what's wrong with that? In any case, we stand behind our product, always have, always will, and I'm always happy to be of service to you. If you have any questions, please feel free to contact us. If you see any haters out there, please direct them to them or direct them to this video. That way they can know their mistakes or inaccuracies, or that they're not using the machine correctly, or that, you know, maybe their literacy isn't very good. You know, maybe their scientific questioning is not very good. Maybe they don't know how to problem solve, or maybe they're just one of those negative Nellies that just loves to stir up garbage when there's nothing to really worry about. In any case, always here to prove and give you exactly what you deserve, because our word is as good as gold. Have a good day.